I'm Ellie from the Dark Imp, and I'm going to show you how to play Gnome Grown. Right, this is a game for 2 to 4 players, and I've set it up for a 3-player game today so I can show you how it works. So everybody has their own player board, some ladybirds, and these little tokens show the order of the play. So they are given out at random for the first round, and then subsequent rounds the players are going to bid for turn order. Each player also needs, in a 3-player game, 3 discs. In a 4-player game it'll be 2, in a 2-player game it'll be 3 as well. And each player gets some objective cards which show them what they're trying to complete. So this is a game where you are trying to create a garden for yourself on your own garden board using the different types of tiles. We've got 3 different kinds of tiles in the game. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get these 3 things within one section of your garden. The sections, as you can see, are separated by fences. So there are 4 sections on your board. Every board is the same. Some sections are bigger than others. 4 sections on the board, and the objective cards show what you are trying to get within that section. Now you get these in different ways. So you get the animals from this little grid here, and they cover 1 square on your board. You get the features from this layout here, and they cover 2 squares on your board. They can go across fences, so this feature could lie simultaneously in 2 different areas on your board. And there are the ground tiles, and they show you the different kind of terrain, and they are taken from this display here, and they cover 4 squares on your board, and again they can go across the fences. That's how you can get 1 tile in 3 different sections, for example. Okay, so we know what we're supposed to do. These are the points we're going to get. So if we get all 3 on a single card within 1 section of our garden, we're going to get 9 points. That says all 3 tiles. If you only get 2 of the 3 within 1 section of the garden, you're going to get the lower points. On this card, it's 3 points. This card, you get 7 points if you get all these 3 things, and 2 points if you get 2 of the 3. Now you'll see that the cards also have ladybirds in the top right. Ladybirds are currency in Gnome Grown, and you can choose, when you've completed an objective card, you can choose to keep it hidden and not tell anyone else, so they don't know how far you're progressing through the game and how many objectives you completed. Or you can choose to reveal your objective, show it's completed, and if you do that you will get this instant bonus of ladybirds, which you take from the main ladybird pile. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so how does the game work? Well, each round is split into 4 different phases. In the first round, we skip the first phase because the first phase is to do with bidding for turn order. When you are bidding, you use whatever turn order marker you had in the previous round, and then you choose a number of ladybirds that you have in your supply. Let's say I'm choosing 2 ladybirds. And I'm going to choose this secretly, and I'm going to keep them hidden. And I can keep my turn order marker visible, and then when everybody's ready, we're going to reveal how many ladybirds we've each got, and the person with the highest combined bid, I've got 3 here, 1 plus these 2, is going to take the first player turn order. So if I bid 1 and 2 ladybirds, and this player doesn't bid any ladybirds, but has 3 points already because they were last time, they're actually going to win, because in ties, the higher number on the turn markers wins. So they would become player 1 because they would have beaten me, certainly, and possibly them. So if they put in 1 ladybird, or if they put in 3 ladybirds, if number 2 puts in 3 ladybirds, their combined bid is 5, they're going to win. So that's the bidding. That's the first phase. You give out the player tokens, the turn order markers, according to who has won the bid, and then you take it in turns. So the next phase is the action selection phase. This is the action board, And when you select an action to play, you are going to place one of your markers on one of the squares. Well, stones, I suppose. They're not really squares, are they? You're going to place one as the first player. The second player is going to place one. Then the third player is going to place one. Then the first player places another one, and so on until all three players have placed all three markers. You do not take the action immediately. You just place the markers in phase 2 of the game. So this is the action selection phase. And then in phase 3, the first player is going to execute all three of her actions in any order. Then the second player, purple, will execute all three of her actions in any order. And finally, the third player will do all three of her actions in any order. So you select on phase 2 and you execute your actions on phase 3. The final phase of the game is just resetting the board for the next phase. And what happens on reset is the little gnome moves up the track. You put 3 more ladybirds on the action board, whether you've used the ladybirds or not. And you get ready to bid for the next round. Ah, yes, the other thing you do is if this turn advantage imp has been taken, you're going to place a new one there. There are several. There are a maximum of 3 for a 3-player game, so we'll take one off. So there should be 3 available. Okay, so let's have a look at what these actions do. Because this is how you get different tiles, and this is how you progress during the game. So there are 3 different tiles that 3 different spaces that relate to these ground tiles. So you could take a face-up ground tile. That's just taking one of them. As soon as you take it, it's got to be placed on your board. You can't move that later. So you have to think carefully about where you want to put it, according to what objectives you've got or what else you're trying to do. So you could take one from the face-up display. If you do that, you just put a new one there straight away. You could take the top face-down ground tile. So you just take the top one. And again, you have to put it straight in your garden immediately. Or you could change the ground tiles and then take one. So you change these. Have a sort of discard pile, and you put the next 4 up, face up, and you take one of them immediately and put it in your garden. So those are the ground tiles, those 3. Then there are 3 actions that are associated with the animal tiles, the small ones. You can either refill the grid, so you don't automatically refill this grid like you do with these. If someone's taken it, it just leaves an empty space. So the first thing you can do is you could refill the grid, if there are any spaces, and look at 3 animals. Now, you don't take any for that action. You're just going to look at them. So you could choose 3 and secretly have a look at them. So this one is a bunny rabbit, and it's also got a bonus on it, which is shown by this icon on the bottom. So you're going to look at 3 different ones. There's an owl. Again, it's got a bonus. These are quite nice ones. Oh, look. And this one's also got a bonus. So a duck with a bonus. 3 different kinds of bonuses that you can use in different ways. So you're not taking any, but you know where some of them are. This one here allows you to take one of those animals. If you know what's there, you can choose what you take. If you don't know, if you haven't looked at them, you just take one at random. Or this one allows you to pay the gnome for an animal. Now, there's competition for these spaces, and sometimes you might want to do something that somebody else has already done. So allowing a space where you actually, you just take an animal like this space, but you have to pay for it. So this is going to be a slightly less attractive space to go in than this. You pay using ladybirds. You pay according to the number on the track, on the ladybird that the gnome is on the track. So at the moment it would be 4. You pay 4, you take the animal. Then there are 3 different actions that relate to the feature tiles. Take a feature. You have to take one of the 3 at the end, at the available sort of open end there. And again, you have to place it straight away. So let's say we took this animal as well. We've taken that feature, you place it straight away. They can again go like that. Or you could move 3 features. Now, when you move features, you are always moving from the front of a stack to the back of the same stack. So you could move 1 there and let's say 2 there. So you can split them up over the 3 stacks however you want. You're not taking any. On this one, you can pay the gnome. Again, it's the same rate. At the moment, it would be 4 ladybirds. Pay the gnome to move 2 features, just like we have, and then take 1. So you could free up some that are further back. Then there are some other actions. You could take turn advantage. Now, if you go on this space, when you execute your action, all you're doing is taking the imp. And that's going to be useful for you in a future bidding round, because this gives you extra points towards bidding. It'll give you 5 more points. So if you hold this in your hand with some ladybirds, it's going to increase your bid. So when you really want to be first player and get first pick of the actions, then you might choose to use your turn advantage imp. Then what else have we got? We've got draw 3 objectives and take 1. So you can draw 3 new objective cards and look at them and then choose 1 and discard 2. So take 3 new ones, have a look at them, decide based on what I've got on my board that this one might be the best one. I take that one, keep it secret, put it with my other objective cards. Now I've got 4, and I put these 2 on the discard pile in any order. And then there is another objective card action which allows you to take the top objective card from the discard pile if, of course, there is one. If there isn't one, you can't do that action. This square allows you to take all the ladybirds. One's just fallen on the floor. All the ladybirds currently on this space. If this action doesn't get taken in a turn, it will accumulate for the next turn, so there'll be more there. And this allows you to take ladybirds from the potting shed. This is the potting shed. When you pay the gnome for one of these actions, you're going to pay into the potting shed. That's where the gnome keeps his ladybirds. And this action allows you to take out of the potting shed, and you're going to take the number that the gnome is standing on. So those are all the different actions. Oh, the only other one I think is trigger end game. Now you can trigger the end game if you want to when you have 4 or more completed objectives. You must have at least 4. And you've got to have them, remember, completed in each section of the garden. There's got to be this has to be present. This combination has to be present in 1 section of the garden to count. Now, if you've got this combination present in 2 sections of the garden, that won't count double. You only get it if you've done it in 1 section. At the end of the game, so when you've triggered end game, the whole round will finish, and the game will finish at the end of the 3rd phase. You don't need to reset. If nobody triggers end game, there are other ways the game could finish. The gnome could get to the end of the track. That might be the trigger for end game, or possibly someone has completely filled their garden. That could also be a trigger for end game. Now, scoring, you score the numbers here, as I've already told you, but also, and this is the player aid, so it shows you, and you've got a record of this all the way through. You can see the frequency of the different tiles, but you can also see here the scoring bonuses. And so there are 4. So there are extra bonuses. Oh, and look, I think resetting is phase 1. Oh, well, it doesn't matter whether you reset at the beginning or the end. Resetting is phase 1. So phase 1 is resetting, phase 2 is bidding, phase 3 is selection, and phase 4 is action. Okay, so scoring bonuses. If you've got 3 of the 4 different kinds of ground tile, and they're all there, the different ground tiles, and I would have that in my garden here, I would get 5 points. All 4 features, 5 points. All 4 animals, 5 points. Again, they're all marked here so you can see what they look like. If I've got a completed objective in each section of the garden, so in every section of the garden I've got 1 card that works, then I'm going to get 10 points. And if I have a completely full garden, I will also get 10 points. That's how you score up. Player with the most points wins. And that is Gnome